so that, okay, the recording is going.
Okay. Is
And
Bridget in because her microphone is muted also?
Bridget, your microphone is muted. Are you on telephone?
No, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
there.
You
Here,
are.
present.
Okay.
Hey, hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Good
Well,
night.
since you're
Good
the
evening.
first one,
Morning.
Bridget, since you are the very first one, I am going to have you. I want to introduce you to Dr. Bridget Harris. She's not doctor yet, but she will be whenever she finishes her studies. And she is working with us as our new registrar at Bakke Graduate University. And she will be replacing Dr. Judy Milton when Judy retires. And so we wanted to make sure she joined us. And we're so happy to have such a talented person that joined us that now lives in Dallas. So she gets into the BGU Dallas office, our main office, because so many of us at BGU are located in very diverse parts of the world. I will tell you, I am living up near Seattle, Washington. And so I'm in that part of the world. And so I'm on West Coast time. And Dr. Judy Melton is our current registrar, and she is a registrar exemplar. And so she's going to be answering a lot of questions tonight for you. And but she also lives down in Oregon, in Medford, Oregon, in a beautiful area. I live on the waterfront. She lives up in the mountains, and she has beautiful views. So we are very diverse. And then Dr. Brad Smith, who is not with us yet, lives down in Dallas, Texas. And our finance person, Dr. Carolyn Cochran, who is not with us because her father is ill. She's a Canadian that is up in Toronto right now. It's a very cold region, tending to her father. And then, Jeremy, I will let you introduce the others.
Okay, I think we have met Pak Hua. Pak Hua is the vice principal of BGST, and he has been working very closely with me on this project. Then we have Philip, who is the principal of BGST, and then we have Shawnee, who has kindly helped us to get our act together so that we can go on the road. So welcome everybody to this morning's call or this afternoon's call.
Thank you. And I really appreciate everyone joining this time, because what I wanted to do was to respond and have our team respond to you so we could discuss back the questions that you asked. They were very excellent questions. So one of the things that we might begin with while we're here is that we understand that you have plans for announcing and signing this MOU in April.
Yeah.
And then you have questions, and they will work with, does BGU work, BGST will work with BGU to offer 3 to 4 credit courses in the specialized option in the DTL. And that is something that Dr. Brad Smith, our president, and I and Jeremy have talked about, and it's pretty much designed. We really want to integrate BGST professors in this, but in order to serve in this program with a BGU degree, they also have to become BGU professors.
Yes.
Adjunct professors. So we can go through that process, and Dr. Judy Melton will explain that. And then, because she handles a lot of that. And then your next question was that we will talk about is BGST will work with BGU if a student wants to enroll in only one course. Is this possible? And that is really a question that, yes, I think Judy and all of us can talk about, because the question, well, we'll talk about that when we get there. That's a very good question. And then you also mentioned if a student wants to sign up for 12 credits at BGU as an intensive certificate, is there a system in place for handling it? And that is also a question that Dr. Judy Melton has already set up a system for. So then the next question that you asked, would you be able to advise us on the BGU catalog and of fees and charges? And Dr. Judy Melton prepares our catalog with the help of everyone, but it goes to our accrediting agency, and so she is the expert in knowing what is there. So that we can talk about. And then the fourth one that you asked, the first course to be offered is organizational assessment. For us to schedule the next semester, we'll need advice on the sessions that we will need to plan, and you ask for a template. And that is something that Judy and myself and Brad can work with you on, along with the professor that's currently teaching it, because we plan on Jeremy Gui being the professor of that course.
Yep.
And finally, you wanted to introduce us to Shoni, whom we're so happy to meet, because you are the great marketing person, I understand. You have, behind every great man, Peter, there is a woman. So Shoni is BGST's great woman, I think. So
Indeed, yeah.
So, and then Bridget is our new great registrar that is joining. So thank you all. So let's proceed with the first one that you asked.
Okay.
And we will start. It says, okay, if a student wants to enroll in only one course, is this possible? And I'm going to start with saying something. I guess the question is, I always answer with a question, why would a student only want one course? They can have a BGU course, but if they have the 4 courses, they can have an intensive certificate. So is this something for other degrees, or what do you have in mind?
Well, we are open to both options. If BGU prefers to do it as a package, we can sell that as a package. I'm only asking that because internally on our side, students come in on individual courses,
Okay.
and then they upgrade into a program. That's just the way we do things. It doesn't have to be the case for the BGU intensive certificate. If we say, if you want to come on board, you need to sign up for the certificates for commitment, that is fine with us. But we just want to clarify things as well. If it's going to be 2 separate different tracks, it is fine with us.
Very good. I understand the reason. That's a good, and what I might say is that, yes, we do sign up, and Dr. Judy Melton can answer this better, but we register students and they don't have to go through the application process prior to taking one course. It can be transferred to their university. However, Judy, why don't you respond? You're better. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
It's actually 2 courses that we allow people to come in, take courses. We call them a non-degree seeking student.
Mm-hmm.
And we just we just give them a transcript when they're finished. But if they came in, I think I have a whole lot of questions myself as I've listened to your questions. And so if I can kind of go through, kind of thinking through, I did edit the contract or the agreement, but I don't remember all the details on it. So I think that we're talking about 2 or 3 different things here.
Yeah.
One, any of your students can take any BGU classes as long as they have the minimum of the education. So somebody that doesn't even have a bachelor's degree, we really don't want them to take the courses just because they bring the level of the conversation down usually. We've
Yep.
tried it doesn't work. So that's one thing you need to keep in mind. The other thing is, it sounds like you're talking about a certificate of 12 credits starting
Yep.
with the ASM or the organizational assessment class. The organizational assessment class right now is an 8-credit class, 6 credits at the master's level, because there's really a lot of work for that class. So cutting it down to 3 credits, I just would question it. But, it's up to you how much you want to cut out of that. And I think, Jeremy, didn't I give you access to a class on Populi that you could
Yes.
play with? And have
Yes.
you looked at that and seen kind of what that template is all about?
I only saw it once, Julie. So briefly,
Okay.
I've gone through it. So I've not deep dive into it yet. But I've gone into that link before. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to look and see where I put you in
Okay.
there.
Can I
wanna
share my
share.
screen with you, Judy, if you want to show something?
I'll share it. I'll share my screen.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and there was something else that I will also share my screen about. But anyway,
Could I clarify something at this stage?
yes.
Wow, what's this? Okay. Now, what happened is that when I talked about the 4, what we wanted to do is to have the intensive certificate being the specialized option, the 4x3 courses.
Okay.
So when we talk about organizational assessment, it is something separate from the intensive certificate.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because that's something that Jeremy wants to do first. So it'll be done fully as a DTL core. And so if it's 8 credits, then it's 8 credits. I just
I see.
needed to know how is it. So that is separate. So if you look at the scheduling, therefore, the core for the DTL, whatever number of credits necessary, will be done first because Jeremy is planning for that.
Okay.
Thereafter, January, then we start the specialized certificate. So we don't want to, whatever that's DTL, we don't want to do variants to it. We want to stick by your game plan, your structures, because
Okay.
it's just simply easier.
Okay. So let me wrap my head around it a little bit. So somebody would come into BGU as a student at BGU and do the 12 credits intensive at your school, correct?
No,
Yes.
Or
yes.
the opposite.
it's going to be online, Judy. We
It'll
just
be online. It'll be online. I would probably lead the online because it's Asian time zone.
Okay. So if you're talking about the core classes for the DTL, so the 2 main courses for the DTL are the Overture or the Urban Immersion, which is 8
Right.
credits held around the world.
Correct.
It would be great if we had one there.
Let's say, for example, this June, Julie, if anybody sign up for DTL, they can attend the immersion in Manila.
In Manila.
So the Manila, so they would have got 8 credits in Manila.
Okay.
But then if they then need to do the organization, then if let's say during the Asian time zone, when they do, there are 2 of us, myself and another person in the Philippines, I cannot remember her name. She's doing the personal assessment. We will do the personal assessment and that in the Asian time zone.
Okay, but do that in October. So
Yeah.
we're divided up into the 4. We call them
Yeah.
modules because we don't
Yeah.
want to call them quarters
Yeah.
because it gets confused because we're actually semester credits.
Right.
So the Overture actually starts in the April module, and then kind of overlaps because of the timing of the Lausanne Forum.
Yeah.
And then the ASM, normally we have it start in October. So that would be the next. And when you're doing 2 8-credit classes like that, there's so much reading and writing that we don't encourage them to do more than that.
Right.
But once they've done those 2, then they could do the intensive certificate part or the specialization, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm assuming that you're going to have some students that just want to do the intensive certificate without doing the DTL, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And so, and that's great. We just need to And as Gwen was mentioning, and as you mentioned, we have to have that approved by TRACS. If we offer an intensive certificate, what is the subject?
Okay, the intensive certificate, as we have packaged it
Okay.
in the document, basically draws on the modules that you already have, because what we want to work with are accredited syllabus, because it's Jeremy advises that that's easier.
Oh, yeah.
Once we take the syllabus, Jeremy and none of our faculty will teach that, but we'll play by that game plan. It's simply easier. But
Okay.
it seems to me that if you want to time the specialist options, therefore the intensive certificate, with the organizational assessment, then we actually have to push the schedule backwards even more, so that organizational assessment has enough time to pull off 8 credits, which basically from October to April or something like that. And therefore, the specialist option can only kick off maybe July next year or something like that. Does that work?
No, well, actually, the assessment class is just from October through December. So then
Okay.
your intensive could start in January.
Okay.
I know you've got a cohort and you kind of want them to stay together. Is that my understanding?
Well, for the DTL, you will have cohort. For the
Not for the intensive?
Yeah, for the intensive, it would be nice to have a cohort. But if someone comes in just for a course, then it's going to be a bit hard to hold a cohort. I suspect, at least for a start, having a course offered, having them able to take just one course is attractive, because they may want to sample what is DTL, and once they taste, and it's good, they want to move on.
Sure.
So the first batch may be a bit less coordinated, scattered. Yeah, sorry. Then we have demand, and then the cohort can build up. Yeah.
Okay. So what 3 classes are you thinking of? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Can I just ask a question to clarify?
Yes.
So I know that different schools use credits differently. So just to make sure we're on the same page, so for us, a full, and I'm sure you guys may have already talked about this, but just so that I understand, for us, a full course load is like one master's level course load is 3 credits. So that's for 3, how long is it? 6
hours, about 130 hours.
About 130 hours worth of work. So is that, how does that compare with the 8 credit course?
Our credits are 1 credit equals 45 hours.
Okay.
That's comparable then.
It's about the same.
It sounds like it's about the same. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just that if it's 8 credits, then it's 8 times that 45 hours. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so we've kind of, the way that our courses are set up, we have kind of a standard number of pages they read, book reports they write, a journal. We ask them to weekly do a 2-page journal, just to kind of, so they're unpacking what they're learning, and then a final project that is usually, for a 4-credit doctoral class, it's usually around 20 pages, and then then their final chat. Each of those are chapters. So chapter 1 is book reviews, chapter 2 is journal, chapter 3 is their final project, and chapter 4 is a self-evaluation. So they're evaluating what they've learned and kind of processing it through. They all have to have it's a package deal, a title page, table of contents, and a bibliography, just so that they're learning how to do a thesis or a dissertation. So it kind of is a preparation for them. So those are like our basic requirements for a class, but it can be tweaked around a little bit, because depends on like the number of hours that they are in class, so to speak. So we consider probably about 8 hours a week that they're in the online class in discussions, and they do feedback on one another. And that's what I was just going to show you if you wanted to see the class, just to kind of get I don't know if all of you have seen one of our online classes, but it might help you. So let me, again, I'll share my screen.
Yep.
Thank you, Judy.
Yeah. So this is oh no, that's the wrong class. Giving you the wrong one. I had Jeremy Gui. I thought that was the right class. So do you remember, Jeremy, where I set you up on that? Was it, I don't think I set you up. Was it in October?
I think we were even thinking of starting earlier originally. You might have done that.
Maybe. Let me see. I'm sorry. I thought I had pulled up the right.
And I apologize for moving around, but it's getting very dark here. I've got to get some lights on.
Okay, so here's Jeremy. Oh, it was the ABCD class that I had put you in. So I guess that was correct, the one I brought up.
Mhm.
So this is the information page. And so what I've done is I've made Jeremy the professor of this class. Here's where the syllabi and all that are located. And this is the required books and optional books. And then here are their assignments. And so as you can see, the grades are weighted according to this percentage. And this percentage is the one that appears in the syllabus. So each syllabus designates how much each of these things are weighted. And then down here are the particular discussions and journal and all that kind of stuff is listed here. And then here are the lessons, and we do it week by week. And so here's week 1 of this class. And so what you have is usually you'll have a picture or something, sometimes a link. Explains exactly what is due for that week. By the end of the week, what they have to do. So here you see they have to post 2 comments and all that kind of stuff. Well, down here is where they link to either the discussion or a Zoom meeting, gives you the link to the Zoom meeting, or it's a video. So this is, I believe it's a PowerPoint that Dr. Kit Danley has put together for this class. And so this is something I think she then has them go through and learn. So then for the discussions, when you come to a discussion, let's see if we can find group 1 discussion. So they ask you to, this one is just introductory. And so people can post a comment about who they are and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's on the progressive weeks, then there'll be a question. So if we go back to like week, let me find a discussion area. So here's a group discussion area. So it's all divided up into weeks and discussions and lessons, and then the students interact. And then usually once a week we have a Zoom meeting. So that's just kind of a really quick overview of what the classes look like. But I also I didn't want to skip the very first question that you had listed, and that was about the faculty application process. Anyone who you want to propose for a faculty member, have them go on our website, which is just bgu.edu. And then in this search area, because we've hidden it, because we don't want just anybody to apply, and just type faculty application. And it brings up the faculty application form right here. So, and this links to our links to Populi. So if they fill this part out and then submit it, it goes right to Populi and generates an application.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
And with that application process, of course, there are things like, references and a transcript, obviously, for the highest degree earned and that kind of thing. So,
Right.
does that kind of answer a couple of your questions?
Yes, it does. I think in that case, how long is the process between application to the appointment?
It really depends on the people that are supposed to fill out the references. honestly, and how long it takes to get the transcript, because we can't control that. As
Mhm.
soon as everything is in, we submit it to the academic cabinet. So it's immediate. I mean, once a month we have an academic cabinet meeting. And so it just depends on how quickly those people get the references. That's usually the biggest holdup. They'll ask for a reference and the person just goes, oh, well, I got time, man. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And the references are usually you send to the referees online, or is it the hard copy? How does that work?
It's actually, there's a whole big application. Like that beginning part was just the beginning. Then
Mhm.
in Populi, the applicant actually puts in somebody's email address, and that sends the reference form to that person. And so it's all kind of automated, and it's really cool the way it works. But when the person is filling out the application, that's when they put in the information that they want to go out. And there is a form that they have to sign to get a transcript. So they have to download that and send that to their school. Because the law in the United States is you have to have a signed request. And so we require a request that's signed by the student to get an official transcript sent.
Okay.
And that's the same process with students. Anybody that's applying, it's the same exact process. Almost the same application. I mean, one's for faculty and one's for students, but it's a similar process that students would have to go through to be accepted into the DTL.
Okay, sure. I think if that's the case, because at least on our side, we know Jeremy and Kim Kyok, one of our colleagues, a mixologist, who's going to teach the cultural aspects of the intensive certificate. We could get them rolling, I think, so that they're at least prepared with them to scramble, and when the course comes on stream and it's not, the paperwork is not done yet. I think that's the first thing I think we'll do.
Yeah.
So let me see. So we've got that down. So about enrolling, I
can't hear you, Jeremy. You're muted. He was talking.
Pawa, since you said that kind of thing, I think we should get Kiap Kyong's application going now.
Yes.
And because I think on the 4th of February, there is going to be an e-certificate class for all the adjunct trainers.
Okay.
So I think Gwen, we may have to ask Martin permission to, while Kiap Kyong's application is going through, whether or not she could actually attend the e-certificate with us on the 4th of February.
And that I'm sure we can arrange, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to do that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Let me speak to Kim Kyok later on this. So that at least sort out the adjunct lecturer bit. Now, when Jeremy starts with the organizational assessment, what we are publicizing therefore is just the DTL, because basically nobody else except DTL students will be taking that. But when we spoke about the possibility of offering one intensive certificate course on an ad hoc basis. So how's the process of students signing up for that? And if they decide they feel that it's good, they want to transfer into the intensive certificate, is that all done online? Is there a process for that?
Yeah, they would need to do I think there's a short form application for students. Let me see, admissions. So, it seems to me that there is a way, and I don't know what it is. I'll have to find out for you, but anybody would just start an application. They need to start an application so that we have their information in Populi. So it's similar to what I just showed you, but for a student, they would just need to start an application for the DTL, but let Tracy, who is our admissions director, you would need to let her know that it's just for the intensive certificate or just for one class. And just so we've got her information. And then she would alert either me or Bridget, depending on when it is, that they're interested in taking a class, and then I would set them up, or Bridget would set them up in Populi, and we send them an invitation to create a password, and then we create a student account for them so that they can register. And I have an email. It's kind of like my cover form email, but it has a link to just a short 15-minute video that shows them how to register for the class and how to access the class online and all that.
Okay, I think that works. So basically, piggybacking on the DTL application form, but saying that we are going to do an exception.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sorts things out. The next one is more of the catalog of fees and charges. I suppose that's you just send it to us. Do you have something that you have?
Are you talking about just what the fees are for the degree?
Well, our fees for the degree, fees that you are charging to the students, but also internally for us to justify it to our board, how much would the adjunct lecturers, like if our faculty is teaching it, how much would fees would she get? And then for if there's any, if it's an entire online course, then there's no facility charges. And if there are some degree of facility charges, then what are the charges that you usually work with, so that we can have a sense of that?
Okay, I will email you. So first, let me share my screen first.
Yep.
Yeah. Because what I'm going to show you is under students.
Okay.
No, I'm not, sorry. Under the program, so if we're under the DTL.
Yep.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember where it is. Tuition and fees, there we go. Okay, so DTL and tuition and fees. There is this little thing right here, and if you just press that, it shows you the entire amount that a person would pay. I mean, these are our normal fees, kind of additional possible estimated expenses. Okay. So it shows you that for tuition alone is $2,100 or $21,000, and then miscellaneous, you may or may not have to pay some of these, like airfare, if your overture is somewhere else. So that shows you what the cost of the program itself is. And then what I will do is I will send you, or whoever I should send it to, I don't know, somebody will have to tell me what all emails, but we have a standard contract for our online professors. And there's a calculation. I mean, I could look for the document and show you, but basically we calculate the pay for the professor based on the number of students in the class. Yep. So they get a base fee of $750, and then they get $150 per student. And so it's just in my spreadsheet, when I'm doing a payment for a professor, I just plug in, I've got all my things calculated. I just put in the number of students in the class, and then it calculates how much I've got to do for a check request. So I don't know what the agreement is for pay or anything, but that would be our standard.
Yeah, I think that's what we're looking for, just some standards to work with. So for a typical class that's offered on an intensive certificate, if I hear you correctly right now, it will be largely just online, and if there's any live meeting sessions, it will be on Zoom. Would that be correct? Correct.
Yeah, correct. And that's just included in the total professor fee that we pay.
Okay, so in that case, Jeremy, there's no facility charges that's necessary there.
No.
Yeah.
And if we have an on-site, like for the overtures, we just pay the professor a flat, usually $3,000 fee for the professor, and then $1,000 for the site coordinator. So we usually have someone who is setting up for the buses and the hotels, setting everything up for the class.
Yes.
And so, but we would deal with that along, if we ever had.
Yeah.
An overture in China.
So give me a schedule of those courses would be helpful, so that at least it's easy for us to just reference to that.
So the courses that we're going to offer?
No, the cost. Sorry, all these different fees and then yeah.
Well, I'll send you the contract. I'll send you a
Yeah.
copy of the template of the on-site or the online professor contract. So.
Okay. I think that's good. Now let me see what's the other questions.
I think we might want to clarify what an on-site is, though, because that is strictly the overture that is on-site.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
We don't have any classes that are
on-site.
on site
Yeah.
except for the overtures.
Which is the immersion you're referring
Right,
to.
the urban immersion.
Exactly. Thank you.
So for organizational assessment,
Mhm.
what we do need to, at least once we get a schedule for that or something like that, what we then need to do is to really put up the dates for Zoom, basically. Because the rest is just, people do it on their own time, right?
Well, we require that they post on a weekly basis, and they get graded
sure,
each
sure.
week on that.
Yeah.
And if I'm understanding you correctly, this would not be the course with Bill Payne, or are you teaching it with Bill Payne, Jeremy, or is this going to be a
I
separate?
do not know yet. I got to work this out with Martin, kind of thing, how this is going to
Okay.
work out. Yeah.
Because
Because I went through the materials. I looked through it. Okay, that's doable.
Mhm.
But whether I teach it alone or with Bill, I will wait for directions, basically.
I think the one thing I want to make sure that it's clear that our weeks are 9 weeks, 7 weeks of instruction, and 2 weeks then for completing everything. And then in 9 weeks, a student finishes 4 credits or 8 credits, whatever they're doing. Okay.
they get a little bit extra time with an 8-credit class. Usually it's 2 weeks after the class, the on-site or the online part is finished, that's 7
Right.
weeks. They've usually got 2 weeks to finish, but in an 8-credit class, we give them a couple of extra weeks.
This is why we have, because most of our people are leaders and working, and they're not like just regular college students
Yes.
who
Yes.
have time. So it is set up this way.
Yep. I think that's fine. It's I'm asking this is just when we communicate or we publicize. Most the format is actually pretty new, I suppose, for most of our students, alumni, or people contact with us. So at least to give them a sense of how it looks like, I think that's important.
Mhm.
So
I think the reason that I was, excuse me for interrupting, but the reason I was asking if you were going to be doing it with Bill Payne or as a separate, I think that probably the deciding factor would be if you had a cohort of a minimum of 6-8 people, you could have your own ASM or the organizational assessment class and have it in any one of the 4 terms. That wouldn't be a problem. If you wanted to have it starting July 1st, you could do that. So the reason I'm saying that is you have to have at least a minimum number of people to make the class worthwhile for the student. Okay. And so if you had that many people, I mean, unless you really wanted people from all over the world, and part of the distinctive of BGU is taking a class with people from around the world. And I know that the time zone thing is kind of awkward, but frankly, our students are willing to come online like at night because the interaction that you get from a person who is from a different culture gives a different kind of a different slant to a topic, and it enriches the class. And so I would encourage you to do it with other students and not just have your own cohort, but that is an option for you. So
okay,
if that makes sense.
I suppose, Jeremy, that's your call. How do you communicate all this scheduling? It's all done through the system. Once they hire students, when they sign up, they just look at.
Yeah, they just look at it and they can click on any of the lessons to see when the Zoom rooms are scheduled. But a lot of times you can communicate to the entire class through Populi by an email, just reminding you the Zoom is tomorrow night at such and such Eastern or whatever, and just to kind of remind them.
Yeah.
But some of the professors in that information page, they'll put the Zoom schedule. They'll just have a Word document or something that lists the dates of the Zoom rooms so that they know ahead of time they can plan.
And that is good because busy people need to know if it's on their own time or they need to meet, because everybody has to be there at a Zoom room meeting.
Yep. And it's really up to the professor to be responsible to do that for the students.
Right. Okay. I suppose that's your call then, Jeremy.
Yeah. I think my first thoughts of this is that if it is going to begin, for example, in October, then when we start the publicity, if we have actually enough people, just like Julie said, if we have enough people, say we have 6 or 7 people in Singapore who registered, we can actually start July 1 kind of thing. It's not a problem. So I think we got to think about I got to think about a number that I think would make sense to start a class. In my mind currently, based on my own experience, 6-7 is a good interaction kind of group kind of thing. If we can get 6-7, it'll be perfect kind of thing. Then we can start straight away the Singapore class in July, and people then do overture next time around, because we can do the Singapore class in July, we finish. We can do probably one that cross over the year, the next one, transformational leadership, whatever. Then people are ready actually to go to the next overture in the following year kind of thing. We can arrange that, because if just between us, we can arrange that. Then that really works out well to be just one cohort kind of.
Yeah, it's nice for them to go through together. They develop relationship and it strengthens, and they keep each other accountable and that kind of thing. So the next overture after the Manila is Dallas. So there's one in October in Dallas. And then after that, I think it's Africa. I'm pretty sure it's Africa. That's the next one after that. So we try to have them all over different places, just because it's more enriching. Some people just do overtures for their specialization. I've had one student that did 4. Yeah, that's crazy. But
okay. I think if Shirley, do you have any other questions? Have you sort of get a better sense of how to sell, so to speak?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I suppose for us, even though we do quite a fair bit of blended learning, things are still quite rigid in terms of scheduling. For something like this, it's more dynamic, and so this is helpful for us to get our head around it, so that we know what to communicate to our students. I think that's important. Okay, yeah. So how should we proceed then, Jeremy? I think you're muted. Oops.
I think let us catch up, and then let's talk about first the marketing bit between us and how we. Yep. I think we have now a better sense of how we could actually kick off the class, especially and puts me in also a good position to actually start making some preparation myself. I think that's one. So let's catch up and then we talk about that. But I think the other second one is also for down here for Gwen to get in touch perhaps with Martin to actually and for Kiap Kiong to start the application process. Kiap Kiong to start the application process. And then at the same time, Gwen, we may have to speak to Martin to include her for the 4th of February e-certificate program that is going to be for adjunct lecturers.
Yeah. How often is the e-certificate program offered actually?
Well, she's only offered it once
Yes.
once a quarter, but I'm sure she would do extra
Okay.
if needed.
So the reason I'm asking is that 4th February is Chinese New Year Eve,
It's
which
the
is
eve of Chinese New Year.
equivalent of your Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
Jeremy may be free, but Kim Kiok may have lots of family.
yeah. I totally forgot anyway, but yeah, for me it's not a problem. I forgot about it. Sorry.
Your wife may not be
Forgot
happy
it.
though.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the best date. I think
Yeah.
for trading.
Yeah.
You probably-
Well, I'm sure that she can adjust that by
Yeah.
a couple of
yeah.
days.
No, but the point being that Kim Kiok will not only come on stream in middle of next year. There's lots of time to join another class.
Okay, there's no problem. So,
Yeah.
but let's get her enrolled. That's the other thing. But as I think, if kicking off the program, if like I said, if we are blessed with 7 folks or 5 to 7 folks, we can kick off the thing straight away with organizational assessment.
Yes. I think you already have one. Kenny is on board, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Kenny on board, and I think I can. I'm trying to recruit another 2 outside, so there'll be 3. So let's see how we kick off.
Okay, I think the next thing therefore is let us consolidate this and decide on the kind of marketing aspects of it. And
Right.
then once we receive more information from you, we beef up that MOU, and then we can work towards some announcement by April. That would be good.
Correct. Yep.
I guess one question I would have is just because this will have the BGU branding on it, if we're doing publicity material and things like that, would you like it run, like, should we run it by you before we put it out? How do you want us to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely need to be approved
Okay.
by our leadership team, which is right now it's Gwen and our president and the academic dean
Okay.
and the director of finance, so that it, make sure that it's saying what it should say. And
Yeah.
because there are accreditation kind of things that we have to be careful about. So
Okay. And in
Sure.
terms of getting like high resolution logo and different things like that, is there someone in particular that I should connect with?
you can ask me. I'll send it.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
We can't hear you, Gwen. You're muted.
I'm just saying you're the expert. Judy is the expert. That's why I do a lot of front work, but Judy really knows the bones of a lot of this and how it works. So
Been doing it for a long time.
she is excellent. So, but I have to say, New Year's Eve is not the time to start something like this because Ray Bakke and I, it must have been in 1993, we flew over Singapore and landed there on Chinese New Year's. And I thought, this is not a time of, there were so many fireworks, I couldn't believe it.
Oh, that's stopped since then.
Oh, has it?
We no longer have
The
fireworks.
official fireworks still works.
You don't? Oh, it was so many fireworks. The sky was lit up. We were on our way to India, and I thought, this is...
That was just anti-aircraft fire.
Anyway, I will contact Martine. I'll get a good date. Do you have a good suggested date that I might recommend?
I mean, I suppose anything mid-February, probably.
Mid-February. Okay.
But I tell you what, let me check with Kim Kiok, and then because she's the one we are committing, so I think she better give some inputs into her scheduling.
I do want to have a good date so that we don't have to keep going around and around.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
okay.
Yeah. And how long is the session actually?
It's been a long time since.
Well, the class itself, or the thing itself, is about a week or two. And so there are several things that you would watch and several Zoom sessions. But the first one, I think, was when she had scheduled it for February 4th. But I'm sure that she wouldn't be I don't think that there's anybody even registered for it at this point. So it could be adjusted to whenever. But it usually takes a couple of weeks for a person to go through, because obviously you're not just sitting there for 8 hours doing it. So
this is independent, and they kind of do it at their own time, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So
Yep.
most of it, they're just, watching videos or reading stuff or,
And then if they have questions, believe me,
that's what the
everybody,
Zoom is helpful.
that's what the Zoom session is for, to answer all those.
Okay. Okay. I think let's ask Kim Kyok then.
Very
Okay.
good.
So Jeremy, we'll meet you after Chinese New Year then. Yeah. And then we follow up on this. Okay.
Very good. Well, I must say thank you. I have to say we are so proud at BGU of Jeremy, and he's a dear friend of mine, and I love Judy. I started before she did, and I should have retired before she did, but that's one of the ways it goes. And so anyway, but I'm so happy to have Bridget join us, because she is the one who will be carrying forth, and we just welcome her. And so Pac and Philip and Shoni, it is so nice to have you join our family, because at BGU, we call us a learning family. And so thank you for joining us. And we just have had a great time. And I have recorded this. And so I do have to have Nat or somebody help me, because I can never retrieve these recordings, Judy. I can send out. You see, I'm not the most technologically adept person in the world. And so I do a lot of talking, but not so adept technologically. So anyway, we will get that out to you so you can review this and see what was said. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, thank you all for joining, and I'll just end in a prayer. Father, we just thank you for this day that's starting for the people at BGST in Singapore, and we thank you for the day you've given us here. And we thank you for what you've given to BGU, and we ask that we continue to be good stewards of what you have given. And we pray that we work together well in the future and serve you and the kingdom. And so thank you, God, for being with us this evening. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
You.
Well, it was nice meeting all of you. I'm sure I'll be in touch.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Brian. Okay, Pakwa, see you, and Philip and Shawnee. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Quickly meeting.